think I'm going to try. I'm going to try to record it on my computer. And if that doesn't work, then we will switch to recording to the Zoom cloud. So hello, everybody. This is our second So With Liz Club. And I've got quite a lineup with you. Erin, who we've been chatting with there, and she's waving. She used to work with me at Genome, and I asked her to come and share some great information with us today, because I know I was confused about some of the things she's going to talk about. So I think it's going to be really good for you. So we'll get to that in a moment. So let's whip through my slides that I've produced. I can't not mention Ukraine, and I'm not going to do a whole political thing. I just want to say that I am very, very sorry about this war, and I think it stinks, quite frankly. So I'm saying, Ukraine, hang tight. I'm hoping this will be over soon. If it isn't, it'll be bad for all of us. Okay, moving along to more happy things. Our monthly sewing project or technique this month is kitchen practicality, because I don't know about you, but I go through kitchen tea towels like crazy. And rather than show the tea towels to you up at the webcam, I have them here on the desk right next to me. But I think it's easier to actually show them on a PowerPoint, because I'll just check. Yeah. I think it's easier for you to see. So what I did on the left-hand side is I followed a lady. I just stumbled across her on YouTube, and I've got the details on another slide, which you can scribble down if you want to, or you can write them down when you get the recording. I will send you the recording later this week when I've had time to edit it. And I thought that her method was really quite cool, because one of the things that annoys my husband and me is when the towels fall off the oven handlebar. And so these little towels are really great because they loop over. And then when you want to take them off, let's say you want to take them to hold a dish or dry something at the sink, you just take this little bar area or this little band across the front of the towel, and you pull it downwards, and the towel just slips off that handle. And then these two on the side with the black and white bows on them, I picked that up for $1.29 at a local thrift store, and they'd never been used. The label was still on them, you know, the store label. And they turned out to be linen. I thought they were loosely woven cotton. They are linen. So I kind of scored there, I think. So I cut it in half and used it for those two. On the right, if you have an embroidery machine, because I like to do something for people who sew and don't have an embroidery machine, and also for people who have an embroidery machine. Of course, they probably got a sewing machine as well, so they could do both. And those tea towels there happen to be all, I believe, Kimberbell designs, and they're embroideries on a variety of different tea towels. I haven't used them yet, but they're certainly very handy. And then there are a couple more pictures. I got so I was on a roll with these tea towels, and so I made one with cucumber fabric and mushroom fabric. And the ones on the stove are apples and citrus. So I really got into the kitchen theme and the food theme, but I really thought it was super quick to make them. And I think you will enjoy the video. She's very methodical and step by step. Erin, do you remember these? These were towels that Erin and I did on an Instagram live, I think it was, or a Facebook live, I can't remember which. Last year, and this is just another way you can do a towel and attach it to the stove handle. And it was Erin's idea, and she had me come on and join with her and sew along her. I think her bow is inordinately better than mine.
Well, I might have like tried really hard on it for a picture.
Okay.
Because you know, they don't, I mean, I still have them. They're a little dirty now, but it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I just used an old towel and some fabric I had on hand, but it was a fun class. All right, so that's just another way. And if you do want the instructions for that, I think you got it on Pinterest, did you?
I actually wrote the instructions for that myself, so I can email you the PDF and then you can send it out if you like.
Okay, so if anybody wants that, just let me know and I will get the PDF for you guys. All right, this now, last week I headed out of town on Wednesday night. BC Ferries, bless their cotton socks, pushed my ferry later, so I didn't get to my destination until after 10 o'clock at night. But we still visited a bit before we went to bed. I have a very special friend who lives on the Sunshine Coast. And guess what? She gave me that tea towel. And I thought, well, how in theme is that for what I'm doing this week? And so anyway, there we are. She has done at the top, the little towel topper part, which on the other tea towels was just a band that you sew on. This is actually an embroidery design that you attach to the top of the towel. And she did an embroidery on top of the sort of waffle weave, and she had a little border at the bottom. And then you can't see it there, but oh my goodness, she actually fully lined the towel as well. So it's going to be a firm favorite in my kitchen. And then I just wanted to say, special friends are precious. You should always treasure them. Okay, so here's where you will find the information of where to get directions or videos and so on. The veggie and fruit towel toppers that I showed you, that is a channel, a YouTube channel called Notches. And if you hashtag on YouTube hanging tea towel or hanging towel, you should be able to find it. Otherwise, look for easy DIY hanging towel under the YouTube Notches channel. Okay, so that's fairly easy. And then the machine embroidered towel toppers. I've purchased several of the designs like that snowflake one from Creative Kiwi. And my friend told me that she got the designs from Designs by Juju, that little snowflake one. So you can go to those embroidery, just Google Creative Kiwi or Google Designs by Juju. They come up and you can search for towel toppers on those websites. And then the embroidered tea towels, with those, pretty much any design will work. And the only ones that I think are not so good on a kitchen tea towel are ones that are very dense. In other words, they've got a high stitch count, because then they tend to turn into a little bit like a bulletproof vest. And that's not really practical when you are drying hands or drying your dishes. You need the towel to be soft. So things like red work and applique in the hoop, they work really, really well. Okay, so let me just see on the participants if I need to let any more in. Is there any more participants that I should be letting in? Let me just see. The chat. Okay, we'll cook for yarn. Yeah, I know some people say we'll cook for shoes. All right, I am not sure if there's anything more I should be doing, Robin. I mean, Erin.
You mean me, right?
Yes, I do mean you. Sorry.
No, I think you're okay.
This moment my husband accuses me of.
No, I think you're okay because you made me a co-host, so I can let somebody in too if it pops up. So
okay, I was just a little bit worried because I think some people have been having trouble logging on. But okay. Everybody knows that if they register, they'll get the video. So it's not totally the end of the world. Okay, I do see something on. Okay, right. Also, if you want to ask a question, what you can always do is unmute yourself and ask. We haven't got 50 people here, so it's quite fine. Or you can use that raise your hand on under the sort of banner at the top, and we will come to you and say, yep, sure, ask your questions. All right. If the towel is textured like terry loop or waffle weave, use a topping. We were just showing you something that I'm doing at the Embroidery Club in Saskatchewan towards the end of this month. And I did not use a topper for the first stitch out, and it was just horrible. So I got wise. I think I must have been just not concentrating, and I used a topper on the second one, and it's vastly better. So anything with texture definitely should have a topper. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And I'm now going to show you something that I think is super, super useful. And if you have got this stitch on your sewing machine, this is the one with the red arrow pointing at it, that is known as the hand look quilting stitch. I know that Janome in the manual refers to it as a sculpture stitch. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's, and others call it a seed stitch because it looks like little beans or seeds in a row. And the whole idea with this stitch is you are to thread up your needle with invisible thread, and then you choose this stitch and you make some other alterations to the settings on your machine, and then it comes out looking like the purple pincushion on the right. And I don't have that pincushion anymore, but fortunately I took a photograph of it at some time, and the thread that you are seeing that looks like hand quilting, and I do not hand quilt. I tried it once about 30 years ago and I didn't like it, and I've never done it since. But I do this kind of hand quilting with my machine. So that is the bobbin thread that you are seeing, and it's not terribly obvious, but it actually was a pale pink thread. And then I used a invisible thread, I think it was a sulky, smoky thread. So because the fabric was dark, and so you do not see that stitch in between the triple straight stitches. And that's what it comes out looking like. All right. So there are so many people who ask questions about this over the years of me doing these presentations that I thought, you know what, I'm sure there might be somebody here that has not seen how to do this stitch. So the first thing is you look for that particular stitch on your machine. And imagine my surprise when I went to my 25-year-old FAF machine that I bought in South Africa about 2 years before I left South Africa. And I couldn't leave it behind because it was so new. And I brought it with me, and it's jolly near 25 years old now. And I went onto the flip top lid of my machine, and so lo and behold, it has that stitch. So I was really impressed. And so you select that stitch on your machine, you put invisible thread in the needle, and then in your bobbin, you put the color of thread that you would like to see as that hand quilting. Regular sewing thread, nothing special, only invisible thread in the needle, not in the bobbin. And then you elongate your stitch length to 4 or 5 or 6. Now on my FAF, I actually found that I liked it on 3. So you can experiment a bit, and I will show you the stitching I did, and I will do some actually for you. All right. The next thing is in Janome, we have a blue dot bobbin case, or a quilter's bobbin case, which is a lower tension than the regular normal one with the little red marking. And so if you have the blue dot bobbin case and you switch it out, it means that bobbin thread can come up to the top of your pincushion or whatever it is you're making, and it can establish a little hand look stitch on the top. If your tension in your bobbin is for regular sewing, it's going to be very hard for your machine to create that stitch, which is why Janome made a blue dot bobbin case, but my FAF doesn't have that. So what I did was I increased the needle thread tension on my machine. I could have gone to my bobbin, which is a front loading bobbin. I could have gone there and adjusted the screw lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and I'd have gone lefty-loosey on my little bobbin case. But I thought, you know what, let me just try adjusting the upper tension first, because it is so much easier to do that. And guess what? I didn't have to fiddle with the bobbin tension at all. Right out of the starting gate, I got a beautiful hand look quilting stitch. Another secret to this is to go at a slower speed, because if you go, you know, like you're chasing, I don't know, you're chasing a criminal down the street or something, honestly, it's not going to form, the stitch is not going to form correctly, and you're going to wonder, what was it that Liz was saying, because I can't get this to do it. Slow down your speed for sure. And you can use this stitch to make something look as though you hand quilted it. And you can use it for all sorts of embellishment and top stitching. And I would love to know what you've maybe used it for. So if you want to unmute or put it in the chat box, I'd love to know if there's any other things you've used this stitch for. Okay, remember as well, the whole way through this presentation, there is absolutely no thing as a silly question. So I'm going to stop my sharing. And while you're thinking about, have you used it for anything else? Because we'd love to hear. And yep.
Do you want me to put my hand up when I start talking?
No.
Okay. I think I used it on like to do some quilting on a denim jacket to secure all the layers together, and it worked out really nicely.
Yeah, very nice. Hi, Margaret. I'm glad to see you. You got over your technical difficulties at the beginning. Welcome.
Oh, yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
It's good to be here.
Yes, Maury.
Liz, so is this on just a piece of cotton, or have you got batting or a stabilizer, or?
I do believe on that pin cushion, I had a piece of batting, just a thin batting underneath. The little sandwich that I'm going to show you today has got 2 layers of quilting cotton and a thin batting inside. But if you were doing it on a collar or maybe down a button band or something like that, I think you can quite happily do it, let's say, through a double layer of fabric. Probably will work on a single layer of fabric too, but then I'd probably put a tearaway stabilizer underneath just to make sure. Okay?
Thanks.
All right. So without any further ado, let me go here. And where are all my settings? Where'd they all disappeared to?
There's also quite a trend right now with Sasha
cording. Okay, and then what I want to do is show you my camera at the machine. And I think what I'm also going to do is change the view so that you can see me. Spotlight. Okay, right. So here we are at my nice little machine. I am threaded up with an invisible thread. It happens to be white because the fabric that I was working with was a white fabric. And this is a pale green, because if you are lucky enough to have some of these colored invisible threads, and when I say colored, I was super lucky because I won a ribbon at Quilt Canada, and I got a vast amount of wonderful thread. And this is Wonderful's Invisi-Fill, which is really, really nice invisible thread. It's very thin. It's like an 80 weight thread. And when you have it very close to the color of your fabric, it becomes even more invisible, which is really nice. But what I've got on the machine is exactly the same as this, and it's an off-white invisible thread. And now I have the machine all set up. As I said to you, you're going to choose that stitch, the what they call the hand look stitch or sculpture stitch or seed stitch. And I've got that set up. And when I played with these yesterday, I started, and I think what I'll do is I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see. I started over here, and I don't even think you can see the stitch between the pink. I have pink in my bobbin. You might, if the light is shining on it, you might see that invisible stitch between there. This is a stitch length on this far right one, that's 6 millimeter length. And I thought, no, yeah, I mean, that might have some purposes, but for what I was wanting to show you, no. So I dropped the stitch length to 5. And then I thought, no, let's try 4. So I went down to 4, and then I went down to 3. And to my way of thinking, 3 looked the closest to hand quilting. You might disagree with me and you might think 4 looks better. Then I even went down. This one didn't work, and I'll explain to you in a moment why it didn't work. I then went down to 2, and it was okay. But I discovered that when you go down to a small stitch length, you also need to reduce the tension a little. Because remember, I said I don't have a blue dot bobbin case for this machine. It's a front loading bobbin, and it's not a Janome, so I don't have it. But I didn't want to mess with the bobbin tension, although I have to say to you, nobody should ever tell you that you cannot change your bobbin tension. If you know what you're doing and you know which little screw to move, it's your bobbin case. All I would suggest is, if you're going to mess around, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if you're going to change bobbin tensions, what you probably should do is make sure that you have a second bobbin case and you put nail polish on it or something, and that's the one you play with, and you leave the other one at the factory default, just in case you have to fiddle to get it back to what it was before. So I changed the tension on the top of my machine over here. Let's just see. Yeah, there's my tension knob. And I had it initially on 9, which is the highest tension. And that was okay for the very long stitches, but it didn't work for the very short stitches. So I moved it down to 7. All right, so let me show you here. I'm going to go at a slowish speed. And I love this little machine. I really am enjoying it. And I do have the Janome 15,000 behind me, but I tend to use that more for embroidery. I love this, but one of the things it doesn't have is a stop-start button. And I seriously miss that. So I have to always look for the foot control under the table. So do you see that I'm going fairly slowly? I do not want to go fast. It doesn't have a speed control on the front of the machine either, like my Janome does. But you know what? It's perfectly fine. So I just really wanted to say that I don't know if every single machine on the market has that stitch, but I think most of them are going to look very much like that little icon I showed you earlier on the PowerPoint. And there we have it. Do you see how neat that looks? So any questions on the hand-look quilt stitch?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if you used a heavier weight thread in your bobbin?
You could, but I wouldn't go heavier than a 28 weight. Okay, I'm using a 50 weight sewing thread, and we know that as the numbers go down, the thread gets heavier. Try it on a 28 weight, but if there's too much obstruction with that thread coming up from the bobbin, the stitch is not going to form properly. Okay, so it's always worth trying. Okay, I love experimenting. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to my screen, because I've got a couple more things I want to show you. Oh, gee, we don't need to be there. All right, we were at the questions. And the next one I want to show you is upcoming classes. And I'm just going to whip through this. I have now posted my panty class to the website. It went up on Monday, and the kits are there as well. The class includes the kit and the pattern and the pre-recorded video. And I have managed to figure out exactly how I can ship the kit to you and the pattern to you, and I can do it for a low shipping amount. So you'll see that when you go to checkout. you won't be charged $20 for one kit and the pattern, which is rather nice. So if there's any questions about that, you know how to get hold of me. All right, this is still coming. I've done lots of these bags. I just have to make the video. That's also coming as a pre-recorded video, and it will be on the website. And then what I'm currently working on is a scarf for the spring. And in the middle photo is a chiffony sort of scarf. I picked that up as a remnant at a store somewhere. Excuse me. And I just have one word of caution. Be very careful what fabric you buy, because that scarf I'm not going to be wearing very much because it's a bit scratchy. The two fabrics on the outside, the gray stripy one and the other one, which is a lovely soft buttery cream with gray, light gray and dark gray on it, those are both bamboo spandex, and they are so soft and gorgeous. And I wanted something light because you might want to wear a scarf in the spring and towards the summer. I doubt in the middle of summer, especially if we have another one of those nasty heat domes, I will not be wearing a scarf, but I do sometimes like to wear one. And so that will be also, as you can see on the slide, pre-recorded video with kit, including shipping for $18.50 if you're interested in that class, and that will be posted pretty soon. This one's coming. It's the next thing under my needle is to get this cut and sewn and a video made. And what have you been sewing lately? I've been doing panties up the wazoo. I think in the last month, I've made about 18 pairs of panties in preparation for the panty class. And I will also be teaching a bralette and panty class for Jennifer Tryon. I think she's launching that towards the end of May. So there's lots of opportunities for learning. Okay. Who is our February club winner? And I did say, did I not, that you don't have to be here to win. Am I correct? Didn't I say that? Did anybody remember?
I'll vouch for you. I'm pretty sure you're good.
Okay, so let's go here. All right, we'll go back to this slide for a moment, and I will stop sharing my screen because I want you to see my big glass bowl. All right, and I'm going to stir up the names. And this was everything you posted to the YouTube channel, not the YouTube, the Facebook group. If it was something you'd made with me, you got 2 tickets. And if it was something you'd made in the last 3 months, but didn't have to be something you made with me, but it needed to be completed, you got 1 ticket in the draw. And I have 1 ticket here, and I have no clue who it is. And it is Karen E. Okay, so she was not able to attend today, so I will let her know that she's the winner of the needles and this. All right, so would you like to know what's on the agenda for next month? Okay, Jennifer Tryon has sent some lovely things. She sent some rainbow scissors, little embroidery scissors, and she sent some rainbow snippers. So depending on how many tickets go in the glass jar, the person picked will get their choice of one of these. The first ticket picked. And the second ticket picked, well, actually, the first person picked can get a choice of any of them. All right, I also have a rotary cutting blade, brand new rotary cutting blade for I think it's the 45 millimeter one. Yeah, I think it's the 45 millimeter. And I have a little packet of pre-wound bobbins, sideless pre-wound bobbins. So if you have a Janome, you will need to wind them onto a Janome bobbin. I do that frequently and it works pretty good. If you have a machine that can use these, great, you can go ahead. So I think what I'll do is I will lump in the pre-wound bobbins with whatever the first person chooses, and whatever the second person chooses, there will also be a little pre-wound bobbins. Okay, so that's coming up next time. And back to my screen, because I want Erin to see what I have done.
Did you go and get creative?
Yes, I got creative.
That's excellent. I love it.
And come on. You are my star girl.
This is so exciting.
All right, so I'm going to hand over to you, Erin, and I'll let
Awesome.
you tell your story. I'm not going to steal any thunder from you, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Well, it's so nice to be here with everyone today. I'm super excited to talk to you about knit fabrics and long arm quilting. So I've had a fabric shop for, I guess it's just about 5 years now, and I do a few different kinds of fabrics. I mostly do custom printed garment fabrics, but I am starting to get more quilting cottons in, because in October, I opened a long arm service. So I'm super excited about that. So I have things to share with you today. I've got a long arm sample to show you. And then I've got just some different information about different kinds of knit fabrics. So before we start, does anyone have a knit fabric question about anything? Sometimes when we're shopping online, it can be a little bit stressful to figure out, well, is this the right fabric for what I want to make? And so what I have in my shop is, I think I have about 13 different types of knit fabric that you can buy. So I thought I would talk about those, not all 13, but I thought I would talk about my most popular ones. First of all,
Just can I interrupt for 1 sec?
Yes.
The reason I asked Erin to come and share with us was because, do you remember, those of you that were here last month, people were asking and saying, where can we buy knit fabrics in Canada? Because a lot of stores have closed. And also, I didn't really understand what French terry was. So I thought, if I didn't know that, you know what, we could all learn something from Erin. And I promise I won't interrupt again.
That's okay. You can interrupt anytime. I don't mind at all. So I thought let's talk about the different kinds of like the different kinds of fibers in knit fabrics. You'll hear people talking about you know, rayon or tencel or bamboo or that kind of thing. So, oh, hello, Kat. Fiona is coming to join us, so I may have to give her the boot. We'll see. So anything that is that's going to have good recovery is going to have some amount of spandex or lycra in it. So anything that has, you know, a 5% spandex, that is going to give you a good recovery on your garment. So when I say recovery, I mean like when you stretch out your fabric and then it bounces back. Fabrics that don't have any spandex in there, like an interlock, or there's other kinds of they call them knits because they have 2-way stretch, but they don't have 4-way stretch, which is what the lycra gives you. So what I wanted to do as well is there's a difference in the drape of a fabric. So do you know what I mean when I say drape? It's how the fabric falls, or how it just how it drapes. I don't know what other word to use to describe it. So you'll have some fabrics that are very, very fluid and very flowy and sort of drapey. And then you'll have other fabrics that are much more stable. And sometimes you'll hear them referred to as like a top weight or a bottom weight fabric. So the fabrics that I'm going to show you first are what I would call top weight fabrics. So they would be fabrics for a shirt, for a scarf, for a cardigan, for a dress, a skirt if it was the right kind of fabric, like if it wasn't too see-through. My most very favorite fabric to use for a top is actually bamboo lycra. And this is bamboo lycra. So this is the fabric. We can see it's really drapey. It really flows nicely and it's got great stretch. So like it stretches and then it goes back. So it's got really good recovery. So this is my custom bamboo lycra, and it comes in at about 250 grams per square meter. What that means is if you go to a quilt shop and you feel like a Girl Charlie or Riley Blake or an art gallery knit, those are about 190 grams per square meter. They're quite light. So this is, it's just a little bit heavier feeling, but it still has really nice drape. The difference between this and cotton lycra is it's the same weight, but the cotton lycra is more stable. So this has more, it has less drape, so it falls like in a triangle instead of in like a waterfall.
Is that because the bamboo is softer?
That's right. And they're woven the exact same way. They're, if you look at the back of each of them, the only way you can tell that one is bamboo and one is cotton is they have a slightly different color. So the bamboo is a little bit more, like it's a little more see-through, but it's not see-through like you would see your hand through it. It's just a little bit different. And often the bamboo bases will have a little bit of a gray, like a grayish tone to the back of it, whereas a cotton lycra will have like a white tone. And that's just the difference in the manufacturing. Any questions about those? So I love cotton lycra for, again, I make t-shirts out of this. I make leggings out of cotton lycra. I make pajamas out of cotton lycra. I make underwear out of cotton lycra. I make almost anything out of cotton lycra. I just find it's a really versatile type of fabric because it's stable and it has a little bit of a drape, not as much as bamboo, but a little bit.
And Erin, tell them why they may not have seen those designs on the fabric anywhere else.
Oh, well, these are custom designs. So when I say custom, it means that I have paid an artist or licensed artwork from someone and then taken the design and had it printed in China. So I work with a family-owned printer in China. They do all my printing for me. There's about 8 people that work there and that's it. So it's a small sort of little family-run print shop that I use, and I've used them since I started. And I've always get really good consistent printing. So these, while you might see these designs from other custom shops, you won't see them, you know, from Fabricland or anything like that because they just don't do the custom stuff. And I often will hire Canadian artists as well to create artwork for me. And that's the one I'm going to show you next. That's this one. So this particular print.
I've got that one.
I love it. I love this print, except I made a shirt out of it and I forgot to measure myself and COVID made it too small.
Oh.
Very sad. Very darn COVID made it too small. But it seems as though I have quite a large chunk that I just pulled out of my remnant bin. So I may have to remake it because I love it. So this fabric, this artwork is done by an artist who lives in Nova Scotia. Her name is Danielle and she does alcohol art. And so she created this artwork for me and then I put it onto fabric. When we start talking about heavier weight fabrics, so things that you would choose maybe more in the spring or into fall, winter, we start talking about the terry fabrics. So if I say the word terry in terms of fabric, what comes to your head? What do you think of when you hear the word terry?
Towels.
Towels.
Oh.
Okay, who's gonna wear a towel on purpose out of the house?
No,
I don't know anybody.
Nobody, right?
Oh,
Like not unless you're like leaving the house to go in the hot tub. So when we talk about French terry has a smooth side and a looped terry back. So what that gives you is that gives you a thicker fabric. So my French terry comes in at about 280 to 300 grams per square meter. So it's a little bit heavier, but it still has good structure. So this is a cotton French terry. And I'm going to hold the back up to the camera so that you can see all of the little loops.
Is that what I know as sweatshirt fabric?
It's similar to sweatshirt fabric. Yeah. But this is most sweatshirt fabrics that you could buy, like if you went to the F store or if you went, you know, to Dress Sew or something, they probably have a large content of polyester in them.
Right, but yours is cotton.
And I refer to polyester sometimes as polymolester because I don't like it. I don't like it on my skin. I mean, it has its uses, but I wouldn't normally choose polyester because it can pill quite badly actually as you use it. I really love the cotton French terry. I find it's really stable for things like jogging pants, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, anything like that.
I think my sweater that I'm wearing today must be poly. It's Weekenders and it's got to be 100 years old. I was still working and I've been retired for over 15 years when I bought this and I'm still wearing it. But it's
Well,
still
that's good.
It's a Weekenders.
Yeah. And I think they had a lot of like not natural fibers. I remember Weekenders because I had some Weekender stuff too.
I think they're a blended fabric at best.
Like, and sometimes you'll be able to get a poly base that is really good and does what it's supposed to. But for garments, I tend to not choose a poly base unless I'm looking for like a dress pant or a pencil skirt type of idea where I want the structure that comes from a heavier weight fabric like a Ponte or a Scuba.
Yeah, well, cotton is more comfortable to wear as well.
Absolutely. Like cotton is like breathable and it's just so much better. But if you think cotton French terry is good, bamboo French terry is even better. It is probably my most popular base because of its drape. So we talked about drape before. So this is bamboo French terry. So it has that sort of waterfall drapiness. This is cotton French terry. Kind of falls like a triangle, so you don't get as much of that flowing, right? What I love about the bamboo French terry is it's lighter weight than the cotton French terry, but it has equal the amount of warmth and durability as a cotton French terry. Again, it's going to look the same from the back. You're going to see those loops, and you might see on a bamboo French terry that some of the loops might be a little bit crushed. And that's just because the bamboo fibers are a softer fiber. But once you wash it, it really does bloom up and become quite soft and plush feeling. This is my favorite for cardigans and jogging pants. And yes, I wear DJs all the time. I wear jogging pants out of the house because they are in such pretty fabrics that I don't care if they're considered jogging pants.
And you sell this in your store?
The finished pants or the fabric?
No, the fabric.
Fabric, yes.
Okay.
Bamboo French terry is what you want.
Yeah. Put the link to your store on the.
Yes, definitely. And I'm going to have a coupon code for you guys as well.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you a coupon code that you can use on anything in the store except for the clearance section, because the clearance section is already a steal of a deal. So if you're going to be making the Blackwood cardigan that for Liz's class, then a bamboo French terry will be, it's like wrapping yourself in a hug. It seriously is one of the best fabrics out there. I really like it. There's also other kinds of knit fabrics that can do different things. Things like double brush polyester, which makes good leggings, but I only wear them in the winter because in the summer it's too hot. It's polyester, right? It doesn't breathe. I also have a base that is, where is it? It's athletic knit. And athletic knit is really nice for bras. Because it has more spandex in it. It's got about a 12% spandex in it. So it's going to have better recovery, more compression. So I use athletic fabric quite a bit for like the waistband of leggings and for sports bras and other bras. I find even though it's polyester, it doesn't make me sweaty. So athletic is a nice choice too. You know, if you're going to make workout wear, if you're going to make, you know, a golf skirt or anything like that, athletic is nice. Because
And what do you call it? Athletic terry.
Athletic knit.
Athletic knit. Okay.
Yeah. And then I also have in the shop, I also have some non-stretch fabrics that I can get. Like I can get a really lovely double gauze. And so I actually made myself some dishcloths out of this double gauze, and it's like 3 layers. I used 3 layers of double gauze to make these, and they've seriously have been the best dishcloths I've ever used. I just find they're durable, and if they fray a little bit, like it's cotton, so it's just going to break down naturally. And then usually once I hit the middle layer, I will recycle it then, but they last a long time before I, you know, sort of hit the middle layer.
And did you just serge around the edge?
So I did lines of quilting just to secure the layers about 1.5 inches apart.
Right.
And then I cut it into squares, and then I serged around the square.
Okay.
So it's just quick and easy.
Okay.
And I love that about double gauze. You can find double gauze at some quilt shops. You'll probably end up paying about $27 or $28 a meter. And I think my custom double gauze comes in at about 22 or 23. So it's a little bit cheaper if you choose to shop from me. And that's just because the woven bases aren't as expensive from my supplier. So I don't have to charge quite as much. I'm going to have 2 new bases this spring. One of them is a beautiful linen. This linen, I have to find out if there's some cotton in it or not, but this linen is absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
So I'm very excited.
So pretty.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
I love it. So I have linen, and then I'm going to also have this rayon, it's like a rayon lawn. It's a woven fabric. So this would make an excellent scarf, very lightweight, really drapey, nice for, you know, tank tops, you know, a summer skirt, summer pajamas, that kind of thing. So those are 2 new bases that I'm going to have. And then I also do long arming. So this is a pillow cover that I just sort of long armed. And so some of it looks like a dog's breakfast because I was practicing. So don't look too hard at the pebbles because some of them are a little bit silly looking. But I wanted to practice with feathers and matchstick. So this is all freehand.
Wow. No computerized quilting.
No, not on this one. I do have the computer. And so I offer sort of 2 sort of levels of quilting. I offer a computer guided edge to edge, or I offer custom, which is usually a mix of like block by block computer guided and then ruler work or free motion. And my turnaround is about 7 to 10 working days. So even though you're not local to me, you can still send me your quilt top to quilt it. I have batting on hand, and you can also have, if I don't have the right fabric for backing, you can have, you can shop online and have it shipped here, and then it's all together. So I'm really excited about that. I love long arming. It's fast turning into one of my most favorite things to do. I'm really enjoying it. Does anybody have any questions? No questions. That's good.
There's always a bit of a lag, I find. People have got to switch their mics on and stuff like that.
I've got to give my stash of knits away so I can get some new stuff.
Totally. Well, and so the way that I often do knits is I do them by a pre-order. So I'll get samples of all the prints. I'll send them out to my team and they will sew them up. And then the pre-order is typically open for 2 to 3 weeks. And that's when you can order it. And then it takes about 8 to 12 weeks to come from the factory after they print it and send it. But then you can choose the prints, and that also helps me so that I don't carry a lot of inventory just because I don't have a lot of room. So if you see something that's up on pre-order and you love it, it's best to get it at pre-order, because I usually only get like an extra, 1.5 meters, 2 meters of things. I just don't have room.
In case you want to
Well,
make
and in
something.
case I want to make something, right?
Yeah.
Like seriously, homemade underwear, guys. Like it's the best thing
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
I think I switched to homemade underwear maybe 3 years ago, and
Mm.
like it's amazing. I don't get wedgies anymore.
I
Those are
haven't
the
made-
worst.
I
Yeah.
haven't bought it.
They don't ride up
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
because
haven't
they
bought a
fit me
bra.
properly.
I
That
haven't
is
bought a bra in-
exactly why I started making my own panties years ago, because I couldn't handle that creep, up your bottom. And I just thought, no, I'm not buying, because you don't know until you get home whether it's going to fit or not. And then you're stuck with panties that don't fit.
And
Then
only
you got a
Costco will
packet of
take them back.
6.
Yes.
Nobody else will take them back.
No.
So I love, actually the pattern of undies that I love the most is called Scrundle Wear. And it's by Stitch Upon a Time. They're a company in the US, but the bands on them are like an inch. And you would think that they're incredibly uncomfortable, but they have got to be the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn.
Is it a self-band from the fabric?
No, it's like a 2 1/4 inch strip of knit folded in half and serged to the edge.
Okay.
And I find that band just sort of parks everything, nothing rides anywhere.
Mhm. Yeah,
So.
the pattern we're using in my class and in
Mhm.
Jennifer Tryon's class is from Jan Bones in Manitoba, in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And it's called the Smoothie Panty.
Oh,
Those
I'll
are
have
the
to look
best.
it up.
And
They're the best.
I really like it because the side seams come to the front a little. So you
Mhm.
don't have side seams digging into, the side of your body, your hips.
Yeah.
And it's not quite a full panty. It skims the bottom of my belly button, but you can
Mhm.
make it into a bikini panty, low rise if you want to, but it covers my bottom. That's what I want.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
And actually, so how old am I? I'm 39 and I wear high-waisted panties just because things fall out on the top if I don't. So they're excellent for tucking things in.
Okay, so anybody got any questions? Because remember, I said that this is also an opportunity for you to ask your questions about classes or things you've read online, or maybe you have a question about something somebody put on the Facebook group. I want you to come to this meeting with questions, because this medium is partly to give information and teach techniques and show things, but it's also that you can get support after you've done a class. So I do hope some of you will go and have a look at Erin's website. I put it in the chat group. If you didn't catch it, don't worry. It will come up when on the video, when I send you the video afterwards. It's just,
and that's where I will put the coupon. I will
Okay.
give the coupon code to Liz, and then she
Okay.
can send it out to everybody as well.
okay. Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
then also, of course, remember, we'll take questions in a minute, so you've got time to think of your questions. Remember that 2 tickets in the draw for something that you've done with me. So if some of you are still doing your snowmen runners, or you are, I don't know, doing the little lace angels or whatever it is that you've been doing with me, 2 tickets in the draw for each finished project. So if you make 5 pairs of panties, guess how many tickets you got in my glass jar? All right. And 1 ticket for anything else. All right. But it must be completed and a nice photograph so we can see clearly. I don't even mind if you put more than 1 photograph. on Facebook because, you know, say a close up and then maybe one of something bigger. And as I said to somebody the other day, you do not have to model your panties or your bralettes. I'm not expecting you to do that because I am well aware of the fact that some of us are modest, and you can see I have a lady over, get myself right. Okay, that is my modest Millie, and I put a jacket on her. This is the Blackwood Cardi, because look, she's not decent. She's only got a bra and panties on. All right, but that's my modest Millie. I do not model my own underwear, and I know there are a lot of people who do, but I'm not comfortable doing that, and I certainly would never expect you to either. You can lay it on a table, your underwear, and take a photograph of it. Okay, all right, question time. Anybody got any questions? You can either put it in the chat group or you can unmute yourself and ask.
Lori is there.
Okay.
Where's a good place to get stretch lace?
Ooh. You
We
got
didn't even
some.
talk about that.
No, go ahead.
You have some, right, Liz? You've got
Yes.
kits
Yes.
for
I haven't
for-
listed it on my website yet. I've been using it to put in kits, but yes, I do have some stretch lace. Some of it's listed, but Erin, haven't you got some, or have you sold it all out?
Oh, I've got loads.
You've got
I have got
loads.
loads. I've got about 30 different colors, and then I've also got Pico elastic. If you need like that narrow elastic, I've got about 10 colors of that. So it's not like by the meter, it's galloon lace. So it varies from about 6 inches, and I think the widest I have is about 9.5.
Oh, I managed to get some of that, but I was looking for like meters of stretch lace because I'm wearing the one bra over and over. It is so comfy.
Oh, wonderful.
So I actually use that galloon lace for all of my bras. I find that I can get my pieces, my pattern pieces out of the galloon lace. I make the ruby pattern from Bra Maker's Supply.
Yeah, pinup girls.
Yeah. And so because it's 4-way, it doesn't really matter how I place the pieces. I just sort of Frankenstein them together.
Mm-hmm. And if you, Kay, if you line it, it was Kay that asked the question, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you line it with your cotton knit or your polyester spandex, whatever fabric you're using as the base of the bra, you don't actually even have to cover it all with the stretch lace. You could maybe say have a panel of it. But I do on my website have some yardage of lace that you can have a look at and see if it's what you're looking for. Any other questions? No?
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. I really appreciate it. That was really fun.
You're so welcome. I've been wanting to do this. Would you guys like to see other guests? Because I don't always want to be the only voice you hear. I'm happy to have other guests. Are there topics that you would like me to get somebody to come and talk to you about, or topics that you want to learn about? There's so much that it's kind of case of, oh, what am I going to tell them this time? Because there's so many topics. But if you can give me some idea, and you don't have to do it right now, you can put it on the Facebook group. Just tell me, you know, things that you would like to learn. And if it's too big a topic for our club, not a problem. I can do a class on it or make a video on it, or we can have a guest to explain about fabrics like we had Erin today. So I'd love to hear from you on that.
I'll think about it.
Absolutely.
Because there is so much.
Mm-hmm. So much.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm doing the 15,000 workbook right now.
Oh, you joined that group,
I
did
joined
you?
that group. Well, I figured I've only had the machine since since October 1st of 2013. Don't you think maybe it's time I do the workbook?
Yeah, yeah, there was quite a kerfuffle because there weren't any left.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I got mine after the quilt maker came out. Yeah,
Right.
I've got an original machine. So it wasn't that I had to look for addendums. Like there's lots that are kind of ticked because they can't get addendums anymore.
Yeah. If anybody is interested in that, it is a Facebook going through the workbook of the 15,000. And I believe it only started a couple of days ago. So it's not like you're going to have a lot of catching up to do.
And and she's doing every lesson about every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can always get caught up even if you don't get in. And there's nothing goes on a video. It just she lists that we're starting it now.
Right. Okay, we have a suggestion here, hand embroidery techniques for aging hands. Margaret, I'm not sure where you're located, but I am teaching hand smocking at the Saskatchewan Stitches Conference in June. And I don't know if that class will be a hybrid or not, but I know some of the classes that I'm teaching, Wendy is going to have me projected so that if you're at home, you can see what we're doing. But it will also be because everybody is dying to get back to in-person events. She's also going to have people going to the conference in Munster, Saskatchewan. So I'm going to book my air ticket quite soon. That will be my first face-to-face event in 2 years. So I booked my first air ticket today for a work trip. I'm going to Toronto, and I can't wait because I think we're over the hump. I'm almost too scared to say anything.
Oh,
But
I hope so.
I really hope we are. I mean, I've made 2 out of the country trips, and my husband and I were totally fine. I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't nervous. I was extremely nervous. I went to the UK in October last year, and in January I went to Mexico. And you know what? My husband and I just were very careful, and we stayed away from big crowds, and we had our masks on all the time when we were near people, and it was fine. The only annoying thing is all those darn tests you've got to have, and I do understand why.
Yeah.
But it's kind of quite expensive. It cost us $300 for the test to come back from Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm ready. I want to go.
I think we all are.
I want to see you all again face to face. I'm so tired of only seeing a screen.
I had to make an emergency trip out with my daughter in the middle of it all at
Oh,
the end of 2020.
wow.
And we went to North Carolina, and it was 4 days. We had an
Wow.
overnight in Calgary, coming and going, and 2 nights in North Carolina.
Mhm.
And it was the airports, like the terminals, they were just like you could have rolled bowling balls down the
Yes.
Calgary
Yeah.
terminal.
When we went to England last October, and we had to get there quite early, I realized that, but it was like a morgue. There wasn't a person in the airport. It was like crazy.
But the planes were crowded. There was no social there was no such a thing as called social or physical distancing in that
No.
aircraft.
No, you've got to do the whole mask thing, double mask if you need to. And you've got a question?
What are you doing in Toronto?
I am going to spend a few days with Jen Tryon, and she's taping me for some of the upcoming events.
Okay.
I'm doing the bralette and the panty, and I'm doing serges and cover hems.
Oh, okay. Because I'm doing I signed up for the Give Me Everything in May.
Okay.
So, and I also signed up for the Life subscription box.
Oh, I so wanted to do that, but there's a limit to everything you can do.
I
Well,
thought
there's a
maybe you were
limit
going
to
for the new launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
I will be doing quite a few of those courses for her. And she wanted the polka dots. I have been scouring Canada and in fact the world for polka dots for Jen, but I eventually found them.
Liz, I have a question.
Yes.
I used to do a fair bit of machine embroidery, and then I didn't do any for quite a while. But I bought the 550E
Yes.
about a year and a half ago, and I find I've forgotten so much stuff. Apparently, there's a 15,000 group you can join. Do you have any thoughts on where I could kind of get back to feeling more comfortable with doing the embroidery with the 550E?
There's bound to be a 500 or 550E Facebook group.
Okay.
There is. I belong to it, and there's lots of information in there. Whereabouts are you located?
Nanaimo, Vancouver
Oh.
Island.
Okay, because I'm over here in Cloverdale, and I'd be happy to get together with you. I'm triple vaxxed.
Oh my.
That's awesome.
Does Kathy at Snip and Snitch not have anything specific?
There are there's been so few classes with COVID.
Right.
And they're only taking like 4 students at a time.
Okay.
So it's hard to get into anything. I'm thinking in the fall things will pick up again.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, I just find, I mean, you may not know, I had cancer a few years ago, and I find chemo just, my short-term memory and my memory of things is really bad. And I
Right.
just feel overwhelmed when I think, because I'd like to get back into it again. I mean, I bought this beautiful new machine.
Right. Now tell me something, Erin, do you have the 550E?
I do. Definitely.
So there's another option for you. Erin is in just south of Calgary, but if you wanted to talk to her and maybe do a Zoom together,
Yep.
she could answer some of your questions and help you.
That'd be
Definitely.
great. Thanks.
I actually do quite a bit of one-on-one teaching with artistic digitizer software as well. I'm starting to do that. So if you have like questions with software, but I can definitely help you with the 550.
Thanks, Erin.
And then someone had asked about embroidery for aging hands. You need one of these.
A circular needle.
It's a curved needle.
Uh-huh.
And like my hands aren't aged, but I do have arthritis in my hands, and I find the curved needle is so much better than poking through and then having to move my whole arm. And
Right.
but I do
Okay.
find the curved needle is a bacon saver.
Okay.
Okay,
And
that
they're
was
also
Margaret.
really handy for like if you're doing any like closing of openings on things like on a mug rug or anything like that. I like to use the curved needle too.
Okay. Yeah, Margaret, I asked about that, Erin. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they come in like a set of 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine are from, they have the yellow card. I forget the name, but it was a set of
Clover?
3. It was quite a fine one and then 2 heavier
Yeah.
ones.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually accidentally cut a slit in my chest, my settee, my Chesterfield,
Oh,
obviously from a pair of scissors or a rotary cutter. And I
oh,
tried to
oh.
fix it with a regular needle and it just did not work. So I bought circular needles, but do you think I fixed it? No. So I'll have to get around to doing that now.
I did it with a leather couch once. I stuck a piece of like bag vinyl underneath where the couch tore. And then I like slathered it up with leather glue and then put something heavy on it. And it like glued it up, but you might need to put something underneath first before you stitch it up.
Just to make sure everything gets caught so it doesn't fray away on you.
Yeah, I tried to stick a little bit of, steamer seam under it and then ironed it very gently with a pressing cloth, but that didn't work. It still pulled open. So I sewed it closed with invisible thread, but it took me about an hour because I didn't have a circular needle. So I think I definitely have to remember that needs to be fixed.
You could just applique something on it.
I don't think he'll like that. It'll draw attention to it and make him annoyed again.
Can't just flip it over?
Sorry?
Can't just flip the cushion over?
No, it's not one of those couches.
Oh, we used to do that when I was a kid. Drove my mother crazy. We'd
Where you
do
could
something
turn
on
the
the
cushion
couch
up.
cushion. We just like flip it over.
Right. Any more questions from any more people? Any suggestions, any comments?
No, but Erin, I might have to do a one-on-one class on artistic digitizer with you.
Sure, yeah. I am going to be working, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be working on a set of classes that hopefully will be offered possibly through Krista at Triangle in Ontario. And then I'm going to be looking for a more central shop that would be interested in that as well. So can definitely, but that might take me some time. So if you need help right away, then totally.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that Wendy would want somebody to do it, but she's too busy until now, until after her
Stitches,
conference. She's way too busy now. So
Yeah,
maybe the fall.
I still have to get registered in your, there's a class that you're teaching in Humboldt that I want to, or in Munster that I want to come and take.
Which
I can't
one?
remember which one it is. Probably the cover and serger.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can always use refreshers on that because those
Right.
machines, I use them, but not
Oh,
really.
ladies, when I went to my friend on the Sunshine Coast last week, because I'm going to Toronto with to be taped with Jen, I don't know which cover hem she wants me to work on. And I've got the 1000. I never upgraded to the 2000. And I sat at her 3000. I
want that 3000.
sold. I'm totally sold.
I've
I
got,
want it.
Oh,
I've got
it
two
is
2000s and a
absolutely
3000.
fabulous.
I've got two 2000s and a 3000 because I ended up with Carol McCoy's machines. Like
Right.
I couldn't bear to have somebody that didn't know have them, so I bought them. And her Skyline S9, so I got two of them too.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I've got to save up my pennies now for that. And that will be my next purchase. Of course, I'm going to be terribly tempted with the new top of the line that Janome is releasing next month. But I know I'm not going to be able to afford that yet.
Well, I think I'll have it. I'll go on welfare when I'm 80, which is only 3 years from now.
You think I can try that too? All right. Folks, if we've got no more questions, I'm going to let you all go because I know it's after 8 o'clock on the other side of the country. And this side of the country, our tummies are starting to rumble.
Oh, yes, I can imagine.
Yes. So I will let you go. And obviously, as always, any questions, pop them into the Facebook group. I check that at least once or twice a day. And I will send out the video of this. So let me just actually stop the recording right